Man in the hat, I hear you say. You haven't told us what you've been reading recently. And I apologise, I've been very remiss, but I've been very busy reading this bunch of crackers. Some absolute corkers in there, I can tell you. But today I'd like to talk about one book in particular that I've just finished. It's called Asking Smarter Questions by Sam Knowles. How to be an Agent of Insight. And it's a very, very clever book, written by Sam Knowles, who's by background, he was a classicist, then he went into advertising, marketing and communications, and then he did a couple of degrees, including a PhD in psychology. So he knows whereof he speaks. And this book is the third in a trilogy. It started with narrative by numbers, telling stories both with and through data. The second was how to be insightful, how to unleash your creativity and tricks for innovative thinking. And the last is asking smarter questions. And it's such a clever book. It takes you through the kind of almost Socratic thinking of starting with ignorance and building up towards knowledge, accepting we don't know things, and therefore it's only through asking questions and introducing dialogue that we can build up our knowledge. And it's full of very, very clever case studies and interviews. You've got an interview with a Nobel laureate chemist, an academic, QC, market researchers, Buddhists, policemen, journalists, and there's an interview with me as well. And it's very clever, and I do think for anybody who's working in the field of creative thinking, business, or even your private life, learning to ask questions properly, open questions, questions which are designed to find and further knowledge rather than to show off and say how clever you are. And a good example would be the use of silence, which of course as a coach we have to do an awful lot of. And the point being that silence isn't about reloading and thinking about your next question. Silence is genuinely listening to understand what is said, what the person is saying through their whole body and not just through their words. And through that way you can kind of build up on your knowledge. So a really, really clever little book, which I think is designed to help anybody, business or private life, to ask better questions, because better questions leads to better understanding. Now, the second reason for mentioning Sam Knowles' book is a bit self-serving, but Sam was one of my first clients as a coach when I was learning to be a coach, and we had to do practice sessions in order to build up our experience. And one day we were exploring the future sense, trying to visualize what the future could look like and how we get from where we are now to where he wanted to go to. And we're exploring various states. And then I said, in my very directive and didactic, I was still learning, because I've been more interventionist than I should have done. I said, Sam, what you need to do is own a platform. Create an intellectual platform from which you can build your career. And you need to write a book. And these are the result of that conversation. Sam wrote these books. He built training courses out of it. He trains and offers sessions for many big multinational companies. He does speaking engagements around these concepts, and he does online platforms. He's put a very, very successful career, and it's still a growing career, from writing books and building an intellectual platform. And it gives me enormous pleasure to see somebody, a client, who's actually excelled as a result of interacting with me. So, enough of that. What I would say is, if you'd like to see what having a conversation with me could lead to, come and see me, and let's try and explore what your future could look like.